The MCAT Cars Podcast, session number 34. The cars section of the MCAT gives thousands of pre-meds nightmares every night. Whether you're an ESL student, lack confidence while reading, or a slow reader like me, Jack Westin and the medical school headquarters are here to help you score higher in every section so you can be confident you're ready to get the MCAT score of your dreams. Welcome to the MCAT Cars Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today on this podcast. I have a favor to ask of you. If you like this podcast, which I hope you do, especially if you are a returning listener, if you are a new listener and you like this podcast after listening, I would love for you to share this podcast on social media. Take a screenshot of you listening to this on your phone. Take a screenshot if you're on the computer listening to this and share it to your social media. And don't forget to tag Medical School HQ or Jack Westin and Jack Westin when you upload those, and let people know that they should be listening as well. Remember, collaboration, not competition, is key to your success here. Let's go ahead and jump in and talk to Jack about our new passage. Jack Westin back for some more MCAT Cars podcasts, talking about fake meat today. How are you?
Good. How's it going, Ryan?
I'm good. As a previous vegan, I've had my fair share of fake meat, and so I'm excited to see what this article is all about. What do we have in store today?
This is another great article. Tests things that you may be aware of, but discusses it in a perspective that you may not have been aware of. So it's interesting because you may have heard of vegan burgers, but maybe not the way they describe it.
All right, I'm excited. Again, if you want to follow along, the link to this Wired article is in your podcast show notes. First paragraph here. Recently, I rolled into a local restaurant to try an Impossible Burger, an all-plant patty invented by the Silicon Valley startup Impossible Foods. So the author is painting a picture of going to a restaurant to try a specific plant-based hamburger. Sounds like.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. It's renowned for having an eerily chewy, even bloody, meat-like quality, a startling verisimilitude that has made it perhaps the country's most famous burger, as New York Magazine recently wrote. All right, so the author's describing what this burger is: bloody, meat-like, chewy, and quoting the New York Magazine that it's a famous burger.
Yeah, so you should kind of paint yourself eating it, or maybe someone else eating it, or whatever, right? Just it looks really real, right? Seems real.
Yeah.
Okay.
One bite into its gorgeous, smoky flavor, and damn, I was convinced. So the author obviously liked it. Again, kind of putting myself in the shoes, as you keep saying, of painting this picture. I'm picturing taking a bite and tasting the smoky flavors and having the bloody juices like run down my hand and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
I like it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, it makes you want to eat an Impossible Burger, right?
Yeah,
or at least look for it, or online or somewhere.
Yeah, Burger King, the Impossible Whopper. All right. This is good news because the time has come to scale up fake meat fast. So it looks like the author is saying, hey, we need more fake meat, right? He's giving us, or she's giving us their point of view. Why? Because in the fight to stave off climate change, meat replacement is, forgive me, one of the lowest hanging fruits. So the author is using the climate change kind of dilemma as a argument for why we need more fake meat.
Yes, and there's something here that I think I want to address. So meat replacement is, forgive me, one of the lowest hanging fruits. That usually confuses a lot of students, especially ESL students. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
One of the lowest hanging fruits.
Yeah.
So you may have not heard of that before. It doesn't make a difference if you have or haven't, because you knowing the first part is more important, right? Knowing it has something to do with climate change, that's important. But a low hanging fruit is something that's easy to reach, right? A fruit is usually very nutritious, So reaching a low-hanging fruit is something that you can easily do to get some kind of investment or return, right? So that's kind of the way they want you to kind of picture, understand lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah. And the forgive me, I'm assuming, is like the author saying, pardon the pun, right? One of the lowest hanging fruits.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of being sarcastic in a way.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next paragraph. Meat production chews up land and spews out methane by the kiloton, accounting for about 2/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture. So the author here is showing us the impact that meat has on our planet. About 2/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions.
Be careful. See, that's what most people will think, right? 2/3
from
of all
agriculture.
From agriculture.
2/3
right?
of agriculture greenhouse gas emissions.
A lot of students do not look at agriculture, right? And they'll go, wow, 2/3 of greenhouse gas. I mean, that would be crazy, right? So, they might test that. They might go, well, why is it that it's really just 1/8 or 1/10, right? Well, it's because it's saying it's 2/3 of agriculture. You gotta be careful, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's just something they'll do. You have to be aware of what they're saying. And when you get questions wrong on these little things, which they don't typically test on, you'll be more aware of what you're reading. Okay.
Yep. A University of Oxford study recently found that to keep global warming below 2 degrees this century, we need to be eating 75% less beef and 90% less pork globally. All right, so a study now to kind of back up the author's point of view about what we need to do to reduce global warming.
Sounds good.
Without concentrated change, we really risk exceeding key environmental limits. Marco Springman, one of the Oxford researchers, warns me. So we have a quote here from Marco Springman from the University of Oxford study.
Okay, and what are they doing? Are they agreeing or disagreeing? What do you think?
They are agreeing, saying we really need to change things.
Yeah, sounds good.
Next paragraph. Diets are culturally enshrined, so changing them will be hard. So the author kind of pointing out why this may be a battle because of culture.
Yeah. This is so important, right? These are the kinds of questions they'll ask about, right? Why is it difficult, to have people eat Impossible Burgers?
Mm-hmm.
Because of their culture, something to do with their culture. And when I read culturally enshrined, I'm thinking, okay, how is that impactful, right? How is that important? Well, now I'm thinking of, an American eating a burger, right? And how it's kind of like a rite of passage, right? To eat a McDonald's burger or In-N-Out burger, whatever, right? So you just got to kind of visualize that scene, or else you're going to overlook this sentence and you may get questions wrong on this passage because you overlook that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Fake meat can help camouflage that epic transformation as a mere tweak. So the author is saying, hey, with fake meat, you don't have to change your diet so much. It's a tweak, right? It's just a little bit of a tweak.
Yeah.
I like the word camouflage, right? We're covering up your diet change with fake meat.
Right. It's not like we're telling you don't eat meat,
mm-hmm.
right?
We're telling you to eat fake meat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still meat. It's just fake meat. It's like alternative facts, right? Alternate facts.
Right.
All right. Next paragraph. Still, even the most uncanny substitutes for meat face an uphill slog if they're going to replace 75 to 90% of beef and pork. So the author is recognizing this is, again, going to be a hard thing to do. The first taste of an Impossible Burger, a moment when low expectations work a powerful magic in the product's favor, is one thing. So the author is saying when people have their first bite of an Impossible Burger, our expectations are low, and then you're like, oh, that's not so bad. So you're pleasantly surprised.
Exactly. That's it. Pleasantly surprised. You like it. That's a hard sentence for most students to understand because it says work a powerful magic. What is that powerful magic, right? The powerful magic is the pleasant surprise. So great.
Yep. But how do you keep meat eaters asking for more after their 6th and their 26th? So again, the author kind of proposing this question: how do we keep people from eating regular meat and eating these vegan meats, fake meats?
Right. It's a rhetorical question. And the author already knows it's difficult, right? So the author just saying, look, what happens after you eat your 26th burger or Impossible Burger? Are you going to still come back for it? Like what what's the benefit? What's the advantage? It's not like it tastes a lot better. Maybe not. We don't know. But it seems like it might be a challenge, even if it's still quote unquote meat.
Yeah. It's funny. I read this article and I think back to another article that we read a while ago about how like government policies are needed when we have to regulate resources and stuff like that. I'm like, well, if we just think about that article, we need to tax meat much more and people will change.
Yeah. Tax it or get rid of it completely somehow, right?
So good article. I guess the big takeaway that the author is saying is to help fight climate change, we need to eat less beef and pork. And that means more fake meat if you want to keep quote unquote meat in your diet.
That's exactly the main idea. But this is something that we're not going to like propose as our main idea, but you should know the author's conveying this is difficult. Difficulty is a theme throughout this passage, even though it's not necessarily an argument, right? It's not necessarily an idea that we write down or talk about. It's the way the author conveyed their opinion, right? It came off as, okay, this is tough to do. So that's something that's going to be addressed in the questions. They're going to address this by saying, okay, what was the author's perception on fake meat, right? Oh, it's easy to implement, difficult to implement, has some kind of, they'll just bring up different answer choices and they'll want to know, okay, do you know the vibe the author was getting at? Because if you didn't read the passage, you're not going to get that question right? Just knowing that we need fake meat to battle climate change is not going to help you get those kinds of questions right. So you got to read the passage. A lot of students always ask me, well, can I just read the first paragraph and the last paragraph? Because those typically give me the big points. Yeah, but you're not going to get the context. You're not going to get the vibe that the author's trying to portray that you can only get by reading in a way that's conversational, right? So that's something that you should always be aware of. Read to understand, read to pay attention, to respect the author.
All right, there you have it. Another great passage. Talking about fake meat. We're all going to be vegans now after listening to this podcast. I hope you got a lot of great information out of the podcast today. If you want more practice, go to jackwestin.com and sign up for the free Cars Daily Passages that you can get right to your email inbox. Again, jackwestin.com, click on practice and then the Cars Daily Passages. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the MCAT Cars Podcast.
This is MedEd Media.